If you can read the vibes, then you don't have to worry anymore. You don't have to be confused about whether or not somebody likes you. And I'm going to show you a technique so you can even start practicing reading people's energy tonight without, even if you don't have a date lined up. All you're going to need is a notebook and a pen. So how I came up with this, one afternoon, my friends invited me to watch a mixed martial arts tournament, and it was going to be at a sports bar. That's not usually the kind of thing that I'm into, but I thought, why not? And actually, once I got there, the very first bout that happened, I was able to guess who the winner was. And I just kept guessing right over and over again. It was almost a dozen different bouts, and those are fights. I just got very good at being able to see the energy of each of the opponents as they come into the room. And this was so fascinating to me because I wasn't trying hard. In fact, it just made it into a sort of intuitive exercise. I relaxed my body. I was just having a good time, joking around with my friends. They were sitting there like freaking out, like they could not believe that I was getting these right one after another. And then eventually I went and looked at how sports betting works, because I was like, well, when people are betting at MMA fighting or any kind of sports betting, how does that work? And it turns out that people that are really into betting will go and they will do a lot of research. They're always just looking at the numbers and seeing who's up and who's down. I didn't know anything about MMA fighting, like nothing. I had never seen it before. So I knew nothing about the stats. I knew nothing about the players. I was just purely like honing in on what I was seeing in the players' faces. And the way that I recommend, if you decide to do this exercise, take your notebook and just, you can write down the players' names and just watch them, and you're going to mark off who you think is going to be the winner as they come out. Now, there are different types of fights. If you go on, for instance, YouTube and you start looking up MMA fights, for one, just let me warn you, because it is a very, very intense sport. Mixed martial arts, it looks like a boxing ring, but it's exactly what the name implies, mixed martial arts. So they're not just boxing, they're also using martial arts types forms where they're like kicking, and it's very, very intense. So trigger warning, if that's not up your alley, you might want to avoid doing this exercise altogether. But there's different types of bouts. They're the kinds where there's just two people in a ring and they just start fighting, and that's not the type that I recommend that you watch. What I recommend is you watch the kind where the opponents come out and go down the stairs, and they go up into the little area that's next to the ring, and they get prepared there. So I recommend that you watch this type where you're just watching from the beginning when they come down, and that way you get a much better sense of them. They're like going down the stairs. Usually they're just kind of like waving at friends and hyping themselves up. And just like for me, that was the time when I was really able to get a sense of who they were. And I just went and watched some yesterday to just try to remind myself of how it worked. The first one was super easy. It was like one guy was super, super dialed in. He looked fit. His expression, he was just like very, very just like, I'm gonna win. Hard to explain like what that expression looks like, but he was just very, very on it. Whereas the other guy, it just looked like they sort of found any guy off the street practically to fight the other guy, who wiped the floor with him. And then the second bout that I watched, I actually got it wrong this time, because there was the first guy that came in. He was looking very scrappy. The guy that came in that was his opponent, the one that sort of messed me up, I thought to myself, this guy looks like a business person. He barely looks like he's paying any attention. He looks like the guy that maybe owns the club, not the player himself. I was like, what is he gonna do? Pay someone to play this guy for him? But I also had a voice that was sort of telling me like, there's something frightening about him, something that I couldn't put my finger on. There was this unknown entity about him. And that was what put him over the edge, I think, because he came out of nowhere. And so I feel like this exercise is so good because I can't tell you how many times I've spoken with clients and they tell me that on the first date that there was something that happened or something in the back of their mind that took them months to finally pull out. And they realized that that thing that they had sidelined and not paid attention to was so incredibly important. So I feel like if you are to do this exercise where you watch the MMA fighting, you watch the players, watch a lot of bouts in a row, and the easiest way to do this is the sort of tournament style, where sometimes these are like 2 hours. And if you don't want to watch the fighting, which is, I didn't feel like watch the fighting, so I would just zoom forward and I'd watch the beginning and watch the ending. And I do think that if you do this exercise enough times and you go on dates, you're going to start learning how to pay more attention to your intuition, to the thoughts that come up when you see someone. Is this person really wanting to be here, or are they just sort of like along for the ride? Is this person really paying attention to me, or is it all about them? You know, there's all sorts of different energetic ways that someone will show you whether or not they are really interested in a relationship, whether or not they might actually call you back after the first date, whether or not they're gonna ghost. Are you ever gonna see them again? Are you really interested in them, or is there something about them that actually is kind of a turnoff and that would lead to you not wanting to be in a relationship with them later on? All of these different things come up when you start getting much better at recognizing energy, honoring what you see. Sometimes it's not what you want to see, but it's always so important and good if you could at least honor that, say thank you for the information. You know, maybe it wasn't what I wanted to hear, but it's for the best. And if that saves you from some heartache, awesome. So this is also a good moment to realize that when we are dating, we are actually also giving off energy. We're letting people know what it is that we really want. We're broadcasting who we are and how we are going to allow people to treat us. We're letting people know what kind of love we're ready to receive. We are letting people know everything we really believe about ourselves, whether or not we're lovable, whether or not we're really ready for love. It's all out there. People are reading our energy just like we're reading their energy. Are you really seeing yourself as someone who is worthy to be loved? Someone that is accepting and open to love? Or is there a part of you that is feeling like the fighter who is off their game? So if you try this out, go ahead and leave a comment below. I want to hear about your experience, and the YouTube algorithm is going to be recommending another video, so go ahead and check that out, and I'll see you in the next one.